Welcome to the deep dive.
Great to be here.
Today, we're going to try and cut through some of the marketing noise around a piece of hardware that has a lot of people talking.
Oh, absolutely.
The PNY RTX 5060 Epic-X. Our mission here is to really stack up the claims of next-gen performance against what the expert reviews are actually showing.
And you can see why it's so appealing. I mean, you look at it, it's a $350 price point.
Yeah.
And the hardware itself is just massive. It has this huge triple fan cooler, speedy new GDDR7 memory. On paper, it promises a lot.
Okay, so let's unpack that. It's on the Blackwell architecture, 4600 CDA cores. But that physical design is what everyone sees first.
Exactly. And that cooling solution is, frankly, pure overkill in the best possible way.
Right.
This card only draws 180 watts, but that Epic-X cooler keeps it whisper quiet. We're talking just 67 degrees Celsius under a full gaming load.
Wow, that is incredibly efficient for that price.
It really is.
And for some users, the performance is, well, it's undeniable. We looked at the competitive gaming numbers.
Yeah.
At 1080p, this card is a monster. Over 500 frames per second in Valorant, 300 in Counter-Strike 2.
If you are purely an esports player, this is a phenomenal deal. Full stop.
But there's always the bug.
There is. And this is where it gets really interesting because we have to talk about where they, cut corners to hit that price.
Right.
Early on, everyone was focused on the PCIe lanes. The card only uses 8 lanes of PCIe 5.0, so by 8 instead of the usual 16.
Wait, hold on. Only half the lanes. Why didn't that immediately cripple its performance? That sounds like a huge bottleneck, especially for people on older motherboards.
That's what so many people assumed. But the data, it tells a very different story.
Okay.
We looked at testing from places like Tech Power Up, and they found that even if you're on PCIe 4.0, you only see about a 2% performance loss.
Only 2%. That's nothing.
It's basically margin of error. And if you're still on the much older PCIe 3.0, the drop is a totally manageable 5%.
So the by 8 thing is, it's a distraction then.
For most people right now, yes. It's more of a technical footnote.
So if the bandwidth isn't the real killer, what is?
It's the VRAM. The real issue, the fundamental limiting factor, is that 8 GB memory buffer on the card. For modern games, especially anything coming out after 2024, that small buffer is a ticking time bomb.
Okay, so lay out the numbers. What actually happens when a high-end game needs more than 8 gigs?
The performance just falls off a cliff. It's catastrophic. The system completely collapses.
So it's not just a little stuttering.
No. For instance, in a really VRAM-heavy game like Indiana Jones, the 8 GB model drops to 1 frame per second.
One.
Meanwhile, the 16 gig version is just humming along at a smooth 60.
That's unusable.
Completely.
Yeah.
And Tom's Hardware, they aggregated data on this. They found the 8 gig card was, on average, 18% worse than 16 gig models. But for ray trace games?
Let me guess, it's worse.
Much worse. That deficit spiked to 39%.
Wow. And I guess this is where that narrow PCIe by 8 bandwidth suddenly comes back to bite you.
Exactly. You nailed it. Think of the VRAM like a garage right next to your engine. As long as everything you need is in the garage, you're fine.
Okay.
But once that garage is full, the card has to go get data from your system memory, and it has to pull it through that narrow by 8 side road. That's what causes the gridlock, the stuttering. That amazing cooler can't fix a traffic jam.
So boiling it all down, what's the final verdict for someone looking at this card?
It's really clear. If you stick to 1080p, especially competitive esports, this card is an absolute star, a perfect fit.
But if you're hoping to future-proof, play modern AAA games with high textures, ray tracing,
then that 8 GB VRAM buffer is going to severely limit your experience. You'll spend more time in the settings menu turning down textures than actually enjoying the game.
which really brings up a final fascinating thought for you to chew on. Given how dramatically VRAM can create these performance cliffs, should manufacturers be required to more clearly label what resolution, what setting tier their card is actually designed for? It's something to think about when you see a $350 card promising next-gen performance.